All right.
Are we rolling?
It's happening.
Okay. So, here we go.
Since you aren't reading the book, like Joe told you to,
Hi!
we're teaching you.
So, Gwen and I have decided that we're going to tell you all about The Horse and His Boy, so that the staff who don't read the book at least have something to go on when leading the play and when coming up with characters for their campfires. So we're going to go through this chapter by chapter, and Gwen and I will tell the story, and when we disagree we have reference material, and Gwen has a scoreboard to see who's right, and we're going to do most of this by memory. We might come up with funny anecdotes or ideas for the play or things that you could do along the way, and we're going to get started. You ready to go, Gwen?
Yeah.
Okay, where does The Horse and His Boy happen?
Some is in Calormene and some is in Narnia, I think.
Yeah. And what's in between? Is it it's
No idea.
Okay, it's Archenland.
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 No.
Oh, okay, Archenland. Anyhow, we'll ask an
We'll ask a Narnian.
We'll ask a true Narnian. Fiona, tell us the right way to pronounce Archenland. But it starts in Calormene, and it starts with a boy.
A boy who was lost on a boat, and whoever was taking care of him died or ran away, and so there was just this baby in a boat. And so then his dad came, saw the baby and raised it as his own, and then
So Shasta was the boy. He doesn't know that he was picked up from a boat yet. What does he? He is fixing the nets and looking after the house for an old man named Arshish. The Arshish who he thinks of as his father.
But a real dick of a father.
Not the nicest guy. Not like evil, but like not a great guy.
mean.
Bit of a jerk face.
Yeah, I think the story goes that if he would go away and have a good day, then he would come back and he would tell he might talk to Shasta and he might give him lessons and tell him about histories and stories. But if he went away to sell his fish and had a bad day, he would come home and beat him.
Box his ears.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything
Not
else?
nice.
Not nice. Okay, and then along came who turned up next? Hang on, I'll show you a
The
picture.
Tarkan.
A big,
This guy, right?
yeah, the Cartan man
Yeah.
thing.
So the Tarkan comes along, and the Tarkan decides.
He's like a knight.
Yeah, he's like an important person.
A lord.
He's a VIP.
A VIP, love it. So the VIP turns up, and he decides that he would like to buy Shasta from his adopted father. And
But Shasta doesn't know that he was, well, not adopted, but found.
Yeah.
By a not actual guardian or parent. So, he's kind of relieved to hear that he's not his actual parent because, like,
Yeah. Because his dad's a bit of a dick.
yeah.
His adopted dad. Yes. So then he finds out that he is not the actual son of Arshish. And then he's going to be sold to this Tarkan.
the VIP.
The VIP.
VIP!
And he's
So-
a little bit upset about this, and he's wishing that the Tarkan's horse could talk because that would be nice. And then, lo and behold,
Go on, Gwen. Tell us the next bit. Pretty darn good. I think the name comes up later. But
he introduces himself.
yes,
the horse.
Bree introduces himself. The horse turns out to be
Well,
a talking
he's
horse.
actually named
Bree
Yes, but he goes by
Bree.
Bree.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And they agree that they are going to
Actually, they
run
were-
away together to Narnia. And that very night, they escape. Are you giving yourself a point for that?
Yeah, because I said his full name.
Fair enough. So,
So they run away. Bree says to Shasta that if Bree were to run away on his own, he would get picked up immediately.
He's a stray horse.
Yeah, but now he's got Shasta on his back. Now he's got a chance to get to Narnia. But Shasta can't ride Worth.
I'm just going to suggest, Shannon, you don't need to be behind the camera. Why don't you come around and just join us? You're telling this story as much as we are. Come. So hi everyone,
Happy
this is
birthday.
Shannon, Gwen's mom, my friend.
Used to go
also
to Camp Narnia.
did go to
Oh,
Narnia, back
Narnia.
in Salt Spring. On the old property.
True story.
Did you ever go to the middle property? If you go to
Property.
Shawnigan?
Yep, sure did.
Oh, middle property as well. Yeah, so on to chapter 2 when they are, excuse me,
Sneezing.
on the run. So they are on the run, they are hiding from the Tarkan, they're doing everything they can to avoid detection. And then one night, what do they hear? Remember?
Roaring and growling and
Ah, yes, they
loud
hear
things.
Something's chasing them.
They hear a lion. And they run away. While they're running away from the lion, what else do they hear?
Like somebody talking.
Yeah.
So there's perhaps another horse.
With another rider.
Mm.
And it looks like a young knight, doesn't it?
Yeah. But who does it
It's-
turn out to be?
Well, her horse is Quinn, but I don't remember the girl's name.
You don't remember the girl's name?
Or
Didn't you have a counselor named the same name as this girl?
Arby's?
Yeah, Aravis. So was Aravis ever your counselor?
No.
Maybe not. No.
I had, I forget her name.
Did you have Holly?
No, but I had the girl who stole the cake.
The girl who stole the cake.
with the dragon tattoo.
Whoever you are, the girl who stole the cake. You're very well loved and
The
remembered.
first year that I went to camp.
Right.
We,
Okay,
You really
so
don't remember your counselor's name?
she was Karen.
This is Bo, by
I
the
have
way.
a picture. I'll show you the picture. You might know that.
Okay, come back with the picture. We'll keep going with the story.
Okay.
So Aravis and Hwyn meet Bree in Shasta. They get together and they decide to travel together. But
And
keeping in mind,
Aravis has escaped from her own situation because she was a noblewoman and she was had to marry some awful, disgusting, power-hungry dude.
Yeah.
Didn't want to marry him, so she got away.
So she escapes dressed as a boy with Hwyn because she was actually going to kill herself, but she decided not to, and escape with Hwyn. Good call. And then who have we got? So let's see. Oh, it's Lauren.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a picture of Lauren. So anyhow, so we got as far as Aravis was telling the story of how she escaped with Hwyn, and Bree and Hwyn get along wonderfully, although
Both
Bree's...
talking horses?
Yeah, both talking horses. Bree's a bit sort of dominant and a little bit like, gung-ho, and Hwyn's kind of a bit more gentle. And
Bree's basically just like an old British war hero.
yeah, yeah, Bree, I would expect Bree to have...
Like he fought in the Boer War,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
all like...
What?
Yeah, a bit of a cavalryman sort of out. I mean, like,
What?
if Bree were alive, he would definitely have mutton chops. Just
Yes!
saying. Bree
Exactly.
would have mutton chops, like serious mutton chops, and carry a cavalry sword.
And he's a bit worried. He has a little bit of anxiety about going back to Narnia because he was captured when he was a foal
Yeah.
and from Narnia and taken to Calormene and had to pretend to be, a dumb horse. And now he's worried about going back because he's like, what if I picked up some horrible habits?
Yeah, so like in that when he was at the Boer War, he might have developed a South African accent.
This is it. And then he
Yeah.
has to go back to England.
So the
and-
attitude of a British cavalryman,
Or like he
with
really
a
likes
South
wearing
African
flowing
accent.
robes. Right? And no one else likes flowing robes.
Which,
He's worried about that. He's worried
He'll
that
be different.
free horses, maybe they don't roll.
Yeah,
That would suck.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
rolling is the best. Anyways.
So anyhow, so they make their way, they steal where they have to, they hide when they must, but they eventually come to the city of Tashbaan. And the city of Tashbaan looks something like this. And it's a big city. Do you not know it? The city of Tashbaan?
Well, I've read the book once. We haven't started reading the book yet.
Yeah, we haven't
Okay.
read it yet.
So in the city of Tashbaan, they have to pass through the city, and it's very dangerous because, of course, there's the risk that they might be separated. And indeed they are, as they they come into the city. And do you remember who Shasta ends
Susan.
up with? Oh yes, Shasta does end up with Susan.
Susan.
I
and
played
King
her.
Edmund.
King
I
Edmund.
I
And their
played
whole
that
posse.
in the first year of the play.
Yeah.
You played that in the play.
Yeah, I shared it with Ruby.
Nice.
So you and Ruby were Susan.
Yeah.
Collectively.
Yeah. Yeah, we didn't do the sitting on top of each other's shoulders thing though. As much
Excellent.
fun as that would have been, they just took turns. So they went into Tashban, and they got separated because the Shasta was hiding in the crowd, and one of the Narnians, as they passed by in procession, reached out and grabbed him and said, "Corin, there you are.
Where
We've been
have you
looking
been?
everywhere."
What the heck?
Dragged him away. In the meantime, Erebus, thinking quickly, sees the Tarkina Lazerline in another procession, hops into her litter.
Old friend of hers.
Old friends, yeah. And Lazerline being the very girliest of the Tarkinas.
And
always
Erebus
wearing pretty
being
clothes.
the most tomboy
Yeah.
of all the Tarkina. These are
Can
like
we still
the
say that?
ladies.
Is tomboy a thing you could say?
I don't know, is it not a thing?
I don't know.
It's
Somebody's.
a thing.
She's into swimming and dogs and generally
I'm just not sure if it's-
anything
You were the
girly.
person who played it, right? You
Sorry?
played
I
it
did
on
play
that
Lazerline
bit, and
several
you were
times.
just very weird.
Yeah, I quite enjoy playing Lazerline.
So
but
they're
anyhow,
all taken care of. What happened to Bree when they picked
Bree
up
and Hwyn
Shasta?
ended up with Erebus and ended up
right.
taken care of by
Gotcha.
Lazerline's servants. But anyhow,
So why the hell has Shasta been picked up and being called Corin? Because they're pretty sure he's Corin.
yeah, and
the Narnians have pretty much kidnapped him.
yeah, so Shasta keeps it cool, and he actually falls asleep for a bit, and ends up listening in on the political woes of the Narnians because Prince Rabidash has the hots for Queen Susan.
Yeah.
I know, and Rabidash not a fan of Rabidash. Yes, he will be known as
Yes.
You're skipping ahead. He's not Rabidash the ridiculous yet. He's just Rabidash the kind of scary to his own people.
The not nice man.
The not nice man.
No.
But he's got the hots for who?
Queen Susan.
Queen Susan.
Yeah.
Not me or Wooby.
And he was real nice when he came to Narnia to court her.
Yeah.
And she thought he's all right. And then she came to visit him in Calormene and
Realized
he's
Horrible.
not such a nice guy.
No.
And so now she wants to escape. She wants to get away, but Edmund points out that they might not even let her escape.
Yep. And so
That's
Tumnus
a bit of a thing.
grabs his horns like this, doesn't he? He thinks, and he comes up with a plan. He does. That's a thing he does. And the plan
give you a
is
point for
to
that.
pretend. Oh, I get a point.
Nice.
So they are going
'Cause
to
Mama didn't know it.
pretend that they are throwing a great party on their ship, and in the meantime,
I remember that bit, so I'm not giving you a point.
okay, no point for remembering this bit. So they pretend they're going to have a party on the ship, and they bring all their provisions, and then they slip away in the night. And so while all this preparation is happening, Shasta gets left alone, and who should turn up hopping through the window but
Corin!
yeah? And what's the big difference between Corin and Shasta at this point in the way they look?
I don't know.
Has Corin got something on his face?
Corin got
Yeah.
black eye.
He's got a black eye because he's been out fighting with the street boys, and
He got distracted.
yeah, basically, what was it? He says one boy came and so I knocked him down. He got his big brother, and so I knocked him down, and he got his bigger brother, and he knocked me down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up spending the night outside. So he comes back. Shasta and Corin realize that they do actually look very similar, and
Almost
Corin-
identical, in fact.
Indeed. Anyhow, Corin helps Shasta escape. Shasta makes his way out to the tombs and waits to meet with Erebus.
Yes. They had a prearranged place to meet if they got separated, which I think is very, very practical.
Very
That's
practical.
smart.
But unfortunately, the place where they have to meet are these big sort of bee-like tombs, and in the dark are a scary place to hang out, especially on your own. And so Shasta spends a very unpleasant night among
That's
the
the
tombs.
Yeah.
thing.
That's the
on
thing.
the-
Yep. Do you want to
Except
show?
for a very large cat that keeps him company.
Ah,
No, it's
yes.
on the front.
And what? Not just that.
It's on the front.
It's in the middle of the night. There are loud noises of hyenas.
Yeah,
And
Just Shannon.
not you.
okay,
You're
not
not
me. I'm
loving
not
enough. Carry
important.
on.
Sorry, you guys are filming. I'm sorry.
That's all good. This just adds to the charm. We'll take it out in post. When we touch up my face and change your hairstyle. What do you think?
Not my hairstyle. Leave my hair alone.
All right, Gwen. So what happens to Erebus in the meantime?
She has to deal with a really, really, really not nice girl who thinks she's the best and really selfish and really pretty.
Is she selfish or is she just a bit vain?
I don't know what vain means.
Vain means that she thinks she's very, very pretty.
Bet you think this
But she's not mean. She just thinks that she's more focused
The
on
best.
she's more focused on being the best, being into boys and lots of pretty dresses, and just generally content in being a stuck-up rich lady, rather than wanting
super
to do
into
anything particular different. Yeah.
Super into
So
Not like me doing contortion.
no, you doing contortion is very different. Zerlene would not do contortion. She would get her slaves to do contortion to entertain her. Yeah.
I mean, I could do that. I'll be happy
Alright.
to do that.
Maybe that's what we'll do as in the play. You could be Lazerline's slave, and Lazerline could be like, slave, contort for me.
I will bend.
You will bend. All right. Oh no, you're so bendy. All right. So that may or may not be on camera. So they decide to escape through the old palace, which is a dangerous way to go because if anybody sees them there, they'll probably be in a lot of trouble. Although Lazerline figures that she'll probably be able to get away with it because she's kind of known for her japes and hijinks, and she figures that if someone as important as her is seen sneaking around back there, that she could probably
You can get away with it.
get away with it.
Yeah.
But while they're there, who should they run into but the Tarkan himself? And
May
not
he live
Tarkan,
forever.
the Tizrock
The Tizrock.
himself.
May
I
he
think
live
Mom
forever.
gets a point for that. May he live forever. The first one to say it.
You don't have a one.
I
so
know.
I'll
We should
make
make one.
Yeah.
I'll make
Subcategory Shannon.
Subcategory, yeah. So,
I'll put it down here. Because Jordan
And he is having a secret meeting.
yeah.
A
So
secret-
Rabidash and
Secret meeting.
the Tizrock and the Grand Vizier. Who is that? Who Erebus was supposed
That's
to marry?
who Erebus was supposed to
Yeah.
marry. And he's like this guy who just flatters and
Yeah.
says random poetry and
Yeah. And there's some fantastic back and forth between Rabidash and the Tizrock.
yeah. Worth a read if you're gonna read
Definitely.
anything in this book.
You might as well go straight to chapter 8 in the House of the Tizrock. Just read that scene. Totally worth it. So,
If you're actually gonna
And at
read
this point,
it.
we learn that he's figured out that Susan is gone. He's pissed. This is Rabidash, and he
Yeah.
wants to pursue her, take an army across the desert, and invade Narnia.
What?
And the Tizrock, and he has to go through Archenland to do that. That's the Archenland, whatever.
Fiona, tell us.
And so, and so the Tizrock is trying to figure out whether he's going to allow this or not. And at the end of it, he allows it because after Rabidash says "great" and runs off to get his army ready, he speaks to his Grand Vizier and says, "You know what? If he goes and he fails, I'm just going to pretend I knew nothing about it. Whereas if he goes and he conquers Narnia, I have added a very beautiful jewel to the crown of the Tizrock." Right? This guy is savvy. Tizrock is.
he is. He's a
pretty
smart
cunning-
cookie.
cunning
He's
guy.
sort of like the Don.
Yeah,
of,
he
you know,
totally is.
He's
the dog.
absolutely like he is the godfather of
Yeah.
Calormene.
Mm.
There may be some cotton balls to be stuck between. You know, he may make people offers they cannot refuse. Oh, I'm still
Dead horses. Yes. So that all happens, and Erebus and Lazerline overhear this. Lazerline freaks out. Erebus goes, "I'm so glad I didn't marry that guy.
Yeah.
What a schmuck."
Yep.
Yep.
And they make their way out. Lazerline and Erebus part ways. Erebus goes and finds Shasta at the tombs.
That's right.
So we're at the tombs. Do you remember what happens next?
There's a dessert involved. Oh no, wait, a desert.
Do you remember how they get across the desert?
The horses.
The horses carry them across the desert, but there was something that Shasta learned from the Narnians about how to get across the desert.
There's a different way across. Because if you,
What?
instead of going straight across, you go for a peak. And then there's an oasis, like water.
Yeah, well, there's actually it's a river.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The oasis is to go one way, but if you go the other way, you go down into
Damn,
a
that's a
ravine,
fucking point.
and you find a river, and you could follow that river up, and it's a
100%
way
a
of
point.
making it up faster. And so they make their way, but of course Erebus by this point knows that Rabidash is coming with an army, so they are
Right.
in a hurry.
They are in a
And
hurry.
they rush and push, and they rush and rush, and they are in quite the rush to make it all the way across the desert
Anywho.
all the way up into Arkansas. Just as they were being pursued by a great army, and they thought they were going to stop when a lion turns up. Which lion
is
was it?
Aslan.
It was Aslan, but we don't know it's Aslan yet. And Aslan chases them, and Bree, who was about to give up, puts on a burst of speed. And there's a great character development moment when Shasta falls off, and Bree keeps on running because he's a bit of a coward, even though he puts on a lot of bluster. And Shasta turns around to face the lion, thinking he's going to die, but he doesn't. The lion scratches Aravis's back. Do you remember why?
Because when Aravis tried to run away, she drugged her maid,
And her maid got whipped,
whipped.
and that's the same scratches that the maid got.
There's
Yeah.
many lashes that
Yeah,
she got.
Aslan gave her the scratches. It's a sort of like tit for tat kind of. you know,
I think
poetic
that was
justice.
an important learning thing for Aravis, because she was a very highborn person who didn't think much of servants.
Mm-hmm.
And this was his way of showing her what happens to servants when they're treated like they don't matter, right? I'm
yeah.
going to take a classist perspective on this and
Okay.
say that was actually a really powerful, relevant thing for Aslan to have done.
a lesson.
Do I get a point for knowing
You
that?
definitely get a point for knowing that. So they all arrive at the Hermit of the Southern March. Hermit of the Southern March, real sweet guy, marched south and became a hermit, and has a sort of a beautiful garden and a magical
Little
pool.
Cool, that you can see. And the rest of them
Can
get
see anything
to rest,
happening.
except Shasta, with another name.
Who has to keep running.
Yeah.
Which is another kind of character moment for Shasta, because he's just crossed a bloody desert and then had to go on this mad ride, and then he finally got to a place which seemed safe, and then he was told he had to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's pushing himself. So
It's a lot.
so he runs on, and he runs into someone in the woods. Who does he meet but King Loon of Arkenland, who's actually his dad. Yeah,
And King Loon looks at him with a very confused face, because he says, Corin, my son! Right?
No.
Not his son.
Yeah, totally. It's exactly what he says.
And he looks at him with a twinkle in his eye and goes,
Yeah. Because King Loon is basically Santa Claus.
yeah, he's a super chubby, fat, happy man
Yeah, he's Santa Claus, but
who likes to hunt.
yeah, a hunting Santa. So anyhow, Shasta convinces Loon that he's not Corin, and that indeed there's an army on the way, and that they'd all do very well as to head up to the castle and close the gates. And so they do that, but Shasta gets stuck on a normal horse, non-talking horse, which he doesn't know how to ride, and he ends up getting separated from the party and heading over a mountain, and in the fog he meets Aslan, exactly.
Aslan.
Aslan. And Aslan tells him everything about all the times that he was there. So where were the points when Aslan was there for Shasta?
Aslan pushed the boat toward the place where he met his dad. He was the one chasing them and chased
Bree and Hwyn.
Bree
Together?
and Quinn together, and also
Shasta.
Cord.
Yeah. Shasta and Aravis.
Yeah.
And then at the tombs, what was he?
The cat who fought off the hyenas, which Joel didn't tell me about.
You clearly were not listening. So
High pitch.
yeah. So, and then again, he was also the lion that scratched Aravis and chased them to give Bree that extra bit of speed so they would get to Loon in time. So anyhow, big reveal, Aslan was there all along. And Shasta makes his way into Narnia safely because he's walking along a very dangerous cliffside, and Aslan is there walking beside him.
Damn, good one.
Yeah, and he arrives in Narnia, meets Duffel, and meets some dwarves and some hedgehog. Is it hedgehog badger?
How does Joel get a point from that?
I really like the point where you mentioned that Aslan was on the scary side of the road, because Shasta was on a very mountainous road. It was a good moment. It was a good detail.
Yeah.
I liked it.
So then the Narnian army comes by, and who's in the Narnian army?
All the best people.
Who is in the Narnia army?
Edmund?
Edmund's there. Who
I
else?
don't know what's going on. in
Corin's
Something-
there. Who else?
You read this book. You could probably sum it up better than
Yeah, he does become a boxer, but later.
Um,
Lucy's there.
Lucy!
Yeah.
Not my sister.
No, not your sister. Other Lucy. So, and Corin convinces Shasta to get into some armor and to sneak in and join the fight. And Shasta almost
They
dies.
don't spoil over. I don't
Oh,
want to-
and there's a loud dog in the
I end
background.
up-
So there's a big fight, and how does that finish?
These are New Zealand grass called cockfoot,
There's an important grass
Dialectus.
happening over there.
tremulous.
I really
it's,
like important grass.
It'll
Makes
take
me
you
feel
out.
important.
Oh, cool.
It's a New Zealand grass.
And that's ours.
Do you think it was introduced to?
Yes, I think it
Oh, are we
was.
videoing?
Yeah, we're still videoing.
It's
Oh.
in New Zealand.
It's okay, we'll take it out in post. Okay, so let's finish up. So there's a big fight. They win the war. They
But
win the battle.
Shasta doesn't want to, so he falls, and he doesn't want to, and so
Shasta, he's not very keen on the whole battle thing, but he does it anyways.
And and actually make a point that Shasta knew it was a bad idea when he put on his armor. He's like, I don't want to put on this armor. And Corin's
Yeah.
like, it'll be great. It'll be so much fun.
That's a point. That's a point.
Yeah, thank you.
Just calm.
Calm, just
yeah.
peace. So then what happens? So we kind of end up in the wind-up phase, don't we? End up
Yep.
like the denouement.
Yep, Rabbit Aslan shows up. And he turns Rabbit into
No, he didn't say the part where Rabbit does a ginormous jump to try and hit
smite
someone,
somebody.
but then he gets hooked on a wall.
You say that louder.
Hooked on a wall and just hangs.
Yeah, hangs from the wall.
And then he's dubbed Rabbit the Ridiculous.
Rabbit
Yes.
the Ridiculous.
And Rabbit the Ridiculous then gets turned into a donkey by Aslan. Shasta finds out he's Corin and heir to the throne. Cor. Corin doesn't have to be king.
All of the names in Archenland do this Corin, like this weird derivation thing.
Are there other names?
Yeah,
in
there's like a
Archenland?
whole bunch of other brothers that all have the
Really?
same thing.
No
I'm
way.
taking a fucking point for
Yeah,
that.
that's point.
Take a point.
You could look it up.
I will look it up, and I believe you. So okay, what else? How else does it finish? What happens to Cor and Ervis?
They get married so they can fight and go on adventures more often. And what I was saying, the boxer thing with Corin, the other twin,
He's very happy he doesn't have to become king.
so he becomes a champion boxer.
Corin
Thunderfist.
Corin Thunderfist. Yeah.
Yeah.
For whom we have named Ian Thunderfish. Yeah.
And the horses, Bree and Quinn,
Oh,
do
yeah.
not marry each other, but are very happy getting back to free Narnia. Bree becomes a little more humble. Quinn, I think she pretty much stays the same. Quinn's pretty,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more confidence.
Yeah. A little more self-assured.
Yep.
And that's it. So any
Hinny hui ha.
yeah. All right. That's it. That's the story. So any final words, Gwen, Shannon?
You know a lot about it.
Themes of this book
Right.
include
Journey.
a journey, a long journey where you have to work real hard, and a lot of it is very unpleasant.
And
But in the end, you do something very important.
Some
Yeah.
bits, you have to be a little bit bad to be a little bit good.
Fair.
Fair.
It's
Yeah.
like
I'm taking a point for
chaotic good, right?
Chaotic good.
Right?
I'll take it. Yeah. We go for alignments. And yeah, and a lot of good solid character development. All the character has a bit of an arc.
Yep.
Which is good.
They are not always at what they seem.
I like it. Well, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all this summer. Read the book.
like Joel told you.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna have to watch
Read
this
it.
video at least 5 times.
Read it. You
Yes.
don't want to do that.
That is your homework. Your homework from Joel and me and my mama is to read the book twice if you have time. And if you don't have the book or you really don't want to read it and you want to be on your screen all the time, read watch this 5 times.
Bye bye.